Welcome to the Hey, all your sports fans out there in the tubosphere, to you, the individual, as part of the collective. Welcome to Fast Track Sports Rack highlights here on Talk Radio version of the OMSR. I am, as always, your brief but very concise host, Will the Alternative ESPN Sports Thrill. Always do a little show like this, let you know the clip order coming up, the whys to wherefores. I do believe, I do declare, this is the only pro bono amateur sports show on YouTube that gives you that option. It's always good to know what you're getting into. Like this and like that, right? Quickie Sport Round comes after as part of upcoming Gen 5.0. Think of this as like, we're in Gen 4.5. Cross-generational transition happening here. That time of year, speaking of that time of year, where the OMSR covers a lot of college football spring news, trying to turn up the tension until the end of August. Talking briefly and concisely about College Football Hall of Fame inductees. Some notable names on there. Even more notable, who wasn't on there. Make for a nice discussion after the fact. Actually, I'm going to cut it off right here and no Quickie Sport Rant because there's really no segue for it. I'd like to see all your guys' comments as to who's not there, and they did a focus on who was the best college football running back ever. Can you really pick only one? There's at least 5, you could say, could vie for that title. All the video highlights courtesy to ESPN and College Football Live. Everything else to the OMSR. Okay, we're laid out here. No silly DUIs while you're out there. Roll clips.
It is 100 days until the first college game day. Welcome to College Football Live. Joe Shad, Chris Lowe, Jesse Palmer. I'm Steve Weissman. And the College Football Hall of Fame announcing its new class, the class of 2014, on Thursday. An impressive class indeed. Let's take a look at it. Derrick Thomas won the Butkus Award in 1988. Set the SEC record with 52 career sacks while at Alabama. Derrick Thomas finally going to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. How about Tomlinson? Aside from being the only player in FBS history to rush for 400 yards in a single game, LT went for 2,158 yards in 2006, most in a season in FBS history. Sterling Sharp wore number 2 at South Carolina, one of only 4 Gamecocks to have their jersey number retired. 3rd in school history in receptions, receiving yards, and 100-yard games. Willie Rowe, can't get by him, already inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was a consensus All-American tackle at Louisiana Tech in 1992. Tough for a defender to get past big Willie Rowe. How about Shane Conlon? Helped a perfect 12-0 Penn State team to their last national title in 1986. Led the team with 79 tackles that season. He was the defensive MVP in the Fiesta Bowl win. Former Ducks head coach Mike Bellotti led Oregon to 12 bowl berths, 2 conference titles. He was at the helm in Eugene from 1995 to 2008. Had a school record 678 win percentage. Here's some of the other names. Dre Bly from UNC, 11 interceptions as a freshman, second most ever by an FBS freshman. Tony Baselli, another one of those big offensive linemen, consensus All-American at USC in 94. Jerry Moore, the winningest coach in Appalachian State history, led the team over Michigan, of course, a few years ago as well. It took some guys a while to make it, though. You think of Derrick Thomas, you have to be a first-team All-American in order to make this list. You have to be gone from college football for at least 10 years, and you have to be out of professional football. It's been even longer for Derrick Thomas. What do you make of the process?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain how Derrick Thomas doesn't get in sooner, but what the National Football Foundation will tell you is there's a backlog of very qualified former All-Americans, and what they're trying to do is make sure that they spread the wealth. They don't want the same schools getting in every single year. They don't want the players at the same position, quarterback or running back, getting in every single year. And so sometimes it just takes a while to get to the guys that we would agree deserve to get in.
Yeah, Joe, I think you're right. I don't want to have too many guys from the same school in consecutive years, but Derrick Thomas, come on. To me, he's the best pass rusher of my lifetime. You talk to coaches who tried to scheme against him, play against him. Nobody feared a defensive player as much as they did Derrick Thomas. 27 sacks. 27 sacks in 1988. I'm not sure we'll ever see that 52 in his career, Jesse.
I think with respect to the time frame, guys, you have to look at the volume of college players that are eligible to join the Hall of Fame class each and every year. It's way more than the National Football League, right? The only hardcore prerequisite a player needs, as you just mentioned, is to be a first-team All-American. There were 25 named last year. You multiply that year after year after year, that's a lot of bodies. But I don't agree with or understand all of the rules necessarily. Why a school can't induct a player in 2 straight consecutive years makes no sense. The fact that Brian Bosworth's not in is ridiculous, regardless of whether he's a bad boy off the field.
And Ricky Williams.
It's
and
weird that Ricky Williams isn't in either.
If you ask college football fans, hey, is Eric Dickerson in the Hall of Fame? And they're going to think yes. Now, the SMU scandal has something to do with it.
The rule for Heisman Trophy winners should be as soon as you're out of the NFL, you should be inducted into the Hall of Fame right away. That should be a rule. It's strange not having Heisman Trophy winners in, like a guy like Ricky Williams.
One of the things they try to do is go in sequential order. So, for example, since Derrick Thomas passed away, there have been 2 other Alabama defensive players inducted, and those were players who played before him. I personally don't think that it should matter at all. There are injustices.
Well, and you think about a guy like Drew Brees as well, not a first-team All-American, but a fantastic career at Purdue. The guys that were All-Americans his year, Chris Weinke, Josh Heupel, George Godsey. Who do you remember out of that? Well, Weinke
and Heupel won championships.
Right. Drew Brees did pretty well, and certainly as a pro as well. Well, LaDainian Tomlinson, one of the guys, of course, making the College Football Hall of Fame, and what a career he had at TCU. The WAC Offensive Player of the Year in 1999, 2000, won the Doak Walker Award, a unanimous first-team All-American. The Horned Frogs' all-time leading rusher, one of just 15 school records that LT holds. Jesse, you played with him in the Senior Bowl. What made him so great?
He's the best running back I've ever played with, pro or college. Heading into that Senior Bowl, guys, he'd won the Doak Walker Award, but there were still a lot of questions surrounding him because he played at TCU. At the time, they were playing in the WAC. They weren't sure how he would perform with better competition. In the Senior Bowl, he was performing against Travis Henry at Tennessee, Travis Minor at Florida State. He blew them out of the water from the very first drill, so much so that I am convinced to this day Travis Henry and Travis Minor faked injuries the rest of the week because they knew they were losing money every time they took a rep beside LT. And I played with Fred Taylor in college, and I played with Frank Gore and Tiki Barber in the National Football League. LT is by far the best running back I've ever played with. He was unbelievable.
Who's the best running back you've ever seen?
Herschel Walker, hands down. I mean, Herschel Walker, to me, defined an era. He defined a position. Remember in 1980 when he was a freshman in Georgia, he's 225, 228 pounds. He's a track star. You didn't see those guys in that era. You just didn't see. I love there's a picture of Herschel in Georgia at a track meet. At the start-finish line, there's all these track guys, and then there's Herschel, who looks like a Greek god right in the middle of them. He really did. To me, as you look forward, you look back and forward, I don't know that we'll see a guy who was as much of a mythical figure as he was in college.
There aren't as many backs that now bring the combination of power and speed like we saw in the SEC in that decade. Vincent Bo Jackson, 1985, hard to believe how closely together these two played. Guy averages nearly 7 yards per carry, 4,000 yards, wins the Heisman Trophy, total, complete, powerful, run you over, run around you. There aren't enough run you over guys now. Now we use scat back spread offense.
Speaking of scat backs, guys, Barry Sanders, 1988 Heisman in 11 regular season games and a bowl game. Over 2,800 rushing yards and 44 touchdowns. In 5 games that year, he ran for over 290 yards. And people say, well, if he was so good, then why wasn't he on the field his freshman and sophomore year? He was backing up a future Pro Football Hall of Famer in Thurman Thomas. He wasn't as good an athlete as a Bo Jackson or Herschel Walker. But, guys, you can throw Jim Brown at me, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton. To me, for my money, Barry Sanders, the greatest running back ever to put cleats on, college or pro.
Barry Sanders had the best individual season. Herschel Walker was the best college running back.
You can't go wrong with any of those guys. I remember when I was at Northwestern covering the team at TCU. I go down LaDainian Tomlinson in 2000, runs for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, breaks off one for more than 70. The late coach Randy Walker said he was like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, that guy just took over the game. And for my money, I mean, this is a team that had Damian Anderson on it, who, like LT, was an All-American that year in 2000. But LT, best guy I have ever seen in college football. Let's look ahead to guys we're going to see coming up this season. Who is the best of the best coming back this season. Here is a list of some of these guys. Cornhusker senior Amir Abdullah topping it. The Badgers' Melvin Gordon went for 140 or more yards in 8 games last season. Duke Johnson averaging over 6 yards per carry. That's second only to Gordon on this list. So who will be the best running back this season, Chris?
That's Melvin Gordon. He's got the combination of speed. And talking to Gary Anderson, his coach, he said he really started to run behind these pads to get those tough yards as the season went on. I think of all the great Wisconsin running backs, I think he's got a chance to be the best.
Only thing he needs to do, and the only reason I think it was a good decision to come back, he can improve his pass-catching skills. If he's able to do that, he's a definite first-rounder and a Heisman Trophy contender.
What about Todd Gurley at Georgia, guys? This is the total package. What makes him unique, though, 6'2", 230 pounds. If you're going to tackle this guy, you are making a business decision. What makes him special, I think, is his speed. Once you get into the open field, he can hit the home run. I'm not guaranteeing he's going to have the most yards this year in college football. He has had injury issues in the past. If he stays healthy, he will be the first running back chosen in next year's NFL draft because he is the best running back in college football.
The scouts told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that Melvin Gordon would have been the first back selected this year if he had come out. That said, with both of these guys, there has not been a running back selected in the first round of the NFL draft the last 2 years.